I never thought I'd feel this kind of mix between shock, anger, and something else I can't quite name. 2 weeks ago, she left me. Just like that. No fights, no big explanations, just a text that made my chest sink. I think I need someone younger. Someone new. I read it over and over in my room, my phone burning in my hand, as if staring at it long enough could somehow make it disappear. And the worst part? I couldn't even hate her. Not fully. There was still this knot in my stomach, a part of me that missed her even as I tried to convince myself I didn't care. Her name is Lila. She's 25, smart, beautiful, and the kind of person who could light up a room just by walking into it. I'm 20. That text wasn't just a breakup. It felt like she had erased everything we had built together, as if 2 years of late-night conversations, shared dreams, and stupid inside jokes meant nothing. I spent the next few days walking around in a daze, replaying every single memory, every little argument, every smile, trying to figure out if I'd done something wrong, or if she had just changed. My friends told me to move on, to stop thinking about her, to get over it. But honestly, I couldn't. There was something about the way she left, so casual, so almost proud, that kept gnawing at me. And then, 2 weeks later, something happened that I could never have predicted. I was at this small coffee shop I liked, the one with the cracked windows and the weird smell of old espresso that somehow felt comforting, just trying to get my mind off everything. I had my headphones in, music drowning out my thoughts, when I looked up, and there she was. But not alone. The sight hit me like a punch I didn't see coming. Lila, smiling, laughing, and next to her, her mother. My heart didn't skip a beat. It stopped. There was a conversation, a glance, and then something in her expression that made me freeze. She wasn't looking at me the way she used to. There was confusion, maybe fear, or maybe recognition of something she hadn't expected. I wanted to turn around, to pretend I hadn't seen anything. But my body betrayed me. I was already walking toward them before I even realized it. And in that moment, my mind was racing faster than it ever had. Why is she here with her mother? What's happening that I don't know about? And most importantly, why does it feel like the whole world just shifted under my feet? I knew right then that whatever came next wouldn't just be about a breakup. This was something bigger, something tangled, and it was about to pull me into a story I never asked for. I had no idea that the next few hours would completely change how I saw her, myself, and everything I thought I understood about our relationship. And then, as she looked up at me, I still remember the first time I met Lila. It was at a mutual friend's small rooftop party. She had this laugh that seemed too big for the quiet city night, like it belonged somewhere else entirely. I was immediately drawn to her, not just because she was beautiful, but because she made you feel like you mattered, like your stupid little thoughts were suddenly interesting. We hit it off instantly, talking about everything from music to movies to the dumbest childhood memories. By the end of that night, I was hooked. Over the next 2 years, we became everything, in a way. Not the dramatic, world-is-ending kind of love you see in movies, but the quiet, steady kind that sneaks up on you and makes ordinary days feel like something special. I knew her family a little, but mostly it was her mother, Joanne, who she seemed closest to. Joanne was warm, calm, and a little intimidating in the way older people sometimes are. They see everything, and they don't let anything slip by. I always liked her, even if I never felt like I fully belonged in their world. Lila had a way of talking about the future, about her plans, her dreams. We talked about trips, moving together, maybe even a dog someday. She made me feel like we were unstoppable, like we could outsmart the world together. And then, without warning, it all ended. That text. Those 3 words that made me question everything. I need someone younger. I tried to understand. I really did. I thought maybe she just needed a change, something I couldn't give her. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about the timeline. Why now, after 2 years, after all we had shared? It didn't make sense. And yet, there I was, trying to act normal, smiling at friends, nodding through conversations, all while feeling like the ground had been ripped out from under me. Those 2 weeks were strange. I avoided the places we used to go, deleted pictures from my phone, even uninstalled apps we used to use together. But the memory of her lingered, everywhere, in every song, every smell, every street corner. And then, like some cruel twist of fate, I saw her that day at the coffee shop. Not just seeing her, but seeing her with Joanne. It made my head spin. Why would she be here, with her mother, in this tiny, tucked-away cafe. Was it coincidence? Or was it planned? And what was she doing here, smiling at her mother, laughing like everything was normal, when just 2 weeks ago she had left me like I didn't matter? My mind kept circling the same questions, but I knew one thing. This wasn't just about a breakup anymore. Something was happening beneath the surface, something that neither of us had anticipated. And for the first time, I realized that maybe I had been blind to things I should have seen all along. The little cracks in her words, the hesitations in her smile, the way she sometimes looked at me like she was hiding something. I didn't know it yet, but that moment, standing there with the coffee cup warming my hands, was the point of no return. Whatever unfolded next wouldn't just reopen old wounds. It would uncover truths I wasn't ready to face. And yet, I felt drawn to it, like a moth to a flame I couldn't resist. Then she looked up, directly at me, and everything paused. Her eyes met mine, and for a second, the world felt frozen. Lila's smile faltered just slightly, like she hadn't expected to see me here. I tried to read her expression. Was it guilt? Surprise? Or something else entirely? My chest tightened, my hands gripping the edge of the table as if holding on would somehow make sense of this impossible moment. Joanne noticed me too, I realized. Her calm demeanor didn't slip, but there was a subtle shift in her posture, a quiet alertness that made my skin prickle. She said nothing, but her eyes, sharp, measured, followed every movement I made. It wasn't just a casual encounter anymore. Something was happening here, something I couldn't yet name. I took a cautious step forward, forcing my voice to sound casual. Hey, fancy seeing you here. Lila blinked, her lips parting slightly. Then she laughed softly, but it didn't reach her eyes. Oh, hey, she said. I didn't expect to see you either. Her tone was light, but I caught a tension underneath, like she was hiding something bigger than a simple coffee meetup. The air between us felt heavy, like it was charged with unspoken words. Questions spun in my head faster than I could handle. Why is she here with her mother? Did she know I'd come today? And most importantly, what did she mean by upgrading to someone younger? Was it just a shallow decision, or was there more to it? Something I didn't see? Something connected to her mother? Joanne spoke then, her voice calm, measured. It's been a while, she said. Her gaze lingered on me, not accusing, but not friendly either. There was something in that look that made my stomach twist. A warning? A secret? I didn't know. Lila shifted, glancing at her mother, then back at me. Maybe we should sit, she suggested, her voice almost pleading. But there was hesitation in her movements, like she was torn between two worlds, the one she had left me in and the one she was navigating now. I didn't move. I didn't know if I should. My heart pounded with questions, confusion, and a strange mix of anger and curiosity. Everything I thought I understood about her, about us, was suddenly in doubt. And then she whispered something so quiet, so unexpected, that I had to lean in just to hear it. The words froze me. Her words were barely audible, but they cut through the noise of the cafe like a knife. I leaned in, straining to hear, my heartbeat echoing in my ears. The smell of coffee, the chatter of strangers, the clinking of spoons, it all faded away. There was only her voice, fragile yet urgent, and the weight of whatever she was about to say. I didn't expect you here, she murmured, but there was more in her tone than surprise. It was like she was trying to measure my reaction, to see how much I already knew. My mind raced, piecing together possibilities, each one more confusing than the last. What could she possibly mean? Was this about her younger man? Or something else entirely? Joanne's gaze didn't leave me. There was no panic, no overt warning, just a quiet, unshakable presence that made me feel small, exposed. I could see the way Lila looked at her mother, the hesitation in her eyes, the way her fingers fiddled nervously with the edge of her cup. Something was off, something that neither of them wanted me to fully understand yet. I wanted to speak, to demand answers, but my voice felt trapped in my throat. Every instinct in me screamed that I was walking into something I wasn't ready for. There was tension in the air, thick enough to choke on, and I realized that this wasn't just a casual encounter anymore. Whatever was coming next, it was bigger than a breakup. It was bigger than me, bigger than Lila, and somehow connected to her mother. The minutes stretched, painfully slow. Lila kept glancing at the door, like she was weighing the idea of running away, or maybe she was hoping I would. My mind swirled with impossible questions. What was she hiding? Did she regret leaving me? Or was this the warning? And why did I feel like every detail? The way her mother sat, the way her hair fell over her face, the way the cafe light hit the table, was a clue I couldn't yet read. I tried to focus, tried to piece together the fractured images in my mind, but every time I thought I was close to understanding, another shadow fell over the picture. The laughter of a nearby table, the hiss of the espresso machine, the quiet sigh of a stranger passing by. It all seemed to pulse in rhythm with my growing panic. Then Lila's hand trembled slightly as she reached for her mother's. That small, almost imperceptible gesture told me more than words could. There was a connection there, something I had never seen before, something that made me realize I was completely out of my depth. I wanted to demand the truth, but the fear of what I might hear rooted me in place. Her lips moved again, and I leaned closer, bracing myself. She whispered a single phrase, the kind of thing that makes your chest tighten and your stomach drop, the kind of thing that changes everything you thought you knew. And in that moment, I understood that nothing about this encounter would ever be the same. But before I could even react, she said the words that would shatter everything. Her words hit me like a thunderclap. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Lila wasn't just with someone younger. She wasn't with anyone I knew at all. She had been meeting her mother for something secret, something I had never imagined. My mind scrambled, trying to fill in the blanks, but the pieces refused to fit together. Then Joanne leaned in, her calm mask slipping just enough for me to see a flicker of something darker. Approval? Complicity? I realized with a chill that this wasn't just about Lila leaving me. This was about something they had been hiding from the world, from me. My stomach sank as I pieced it together. The seemingly innocent visits, the subtle lies, the coincidences I had shrugged off, they all pointed to something much bigger, something that made me question everything I thought I knew about them. And then Lila's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, froze, and whispered a single word that made my blood run cold. It was a name I had never heard before. And in that moment, I realized that whatever was coming next wouldn't just break my heart. It might change my life forever. I couldn't move. My mind was frozen, spinning faster than I could process. Lila's whispered word. The name echoed in my head, impossible and yet undeniable. Joanne's calm, unreadable expression made it worse, like she had been waiting for this moment all along. I could feel the tension in the small cafe thickening, almost physical, pressing down on me from all sides. Lila's voice broke the silence. "It's him," she said, her eyes darting nervously between me and her mother. He's been helping us." My heart skipped a beat. Helping them with what? I couldn't even form the question in my head before Lila continued. "He's younger, yes. But he's not just a boyfriend. She trailed off, biting her lip. Her hand trembled as she gripped her mother's arm. Joanne's gaze softened ever so slightly, like a secret was about to be revealed, one that had been hidden from me the whole time. Then it hit me. The truth, sharp and cold. Lila hadn't upgraded for shallow reasons. She had been part of something I had never imagined, something dangerous, something secret. The younger man she referred to wasn't a random fling. He was central to whatever she and her mother had been planning. My chest tightened as reality crashed down on me. I finally found my voice, trembling. What is going on?" Lila looked at me with a mixture of fear and guilt. "I didn't want you to see this yet. But now you know. You can't go back. It's bigger than us, bigger than anything you think you understand." Joanne leaned closer, her tone calm but firm. "Some things aren't meant to be seen too soon. You were never supposed to witness this, but now that you have," she paused, a faint, almost imperceptible smile forming. "Well, we'll see what you do with it." Before I could react, Lila's phone buzzed again. She glanced at it and froze. Her eyes widened, and she whispered another word. This time, it wasn't a name. It was a warning. And in that instant, I realized the story wasn't over. Nothing about this was over. Because whatever secret they were hiding, it had already dragged me into it. And now, I was in deeper than I could ever have imagined. The cafe felt impossibly quiet after that last whispered warning. My hands were still trembling, my heart still racing. Lila and her mother sat across from me, their expressions unreadable but softening slightly now that the initial shock had passed. I realized I had to make sense of everything before it consumed me. Lila took a deep breath. "I never meant to hurt you," she said quietly. "Leaving you, it wasn't about not caring. It was about protecting something bigger, something you weren't ready to see. Her eyes glistened, and for a moment, I saw the same girl I had fallen in love with, the one who laughed too loudly, who made the world feel lighter. But now, there was a weight there I hadn't known existed. Joanne nodded. Sometimes the people we care about most, we have to let them step back, even if it looks like betrayal. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Her words were calm, but I felt the gravity of what they were implying. There had been secrets, yes, but also an attempt, clumsy, painful, to protect me from something I couldn't have handled at the time. I swallowed hard, trying to process it all. My anger and confusion didn't vanish immediately, but slowly, a strange clarity started to take hold. Lila hadn't left me for someone younger in the shallow sense I had imagined. She had made a choice that seemed cruel, but had a purpose I was only beginning to understand. We sat there, the three of us, in a tense silence that gradually softened into something like understanding. I realized that love, even when it's broken or complicated, doesn't always end with betrayal. Sometimes, it ends with lessons, with perspectives you never expected to gain. Lila reached out and placed her hand over mine. A simple gesture that felt like forgiveness, explanation, and farewell all at once. "I hope someday you can understand," she whispered. And I nodded, realizing that understanding didn't have to mean agreeing, and forgiveness didn't have to erase the pain. As I walked out of the cafe later, the sun was dipping low, casting long shadows across the street. I felt lighter, somehow, wiser maybe. The hurt was still there, a quiet ache in my chest, but so was a sense of closure. Life had a strange way of testing you, of showing you things you weren't prepared for. And sometimes, the answers came in fragments, in whispers, in moments you couldn't predict. But just as I was about to turn the corner and leave the past behind, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number appeared on the screen. It was brief, chilling, and impossible to ignore. "We need to talk. It's not over." And just like that, I realized maybe some stories never truly end.